Hi, my name is Brant Caley. Today, we're excited to talk to you guys a little bit about Gradable Carbon and Gradable Plan, two new programs that Gradable launched this week. And in this video, we're going to be talking with Neil McCormick about how you can implement biologicals to help minimize the need for fertilizers on your farm and potentially earn carbon credits. So that's going to be the topic we're going to dive in deep here. Again, my name is Brant Caley. I've been with FBN for almost 5 years now. I've had a handful of different roles. I've been on the sustainability team, or the Gradable team, which is FBN's focus on sustainability, for the last 6 months, and I've been excited to launch these couple of programs that we're working on today. So that's a little bit about me. I want to kick it over to Neil, have him do a quick intro, and then we'll dive in here.
Yeah, I'm Neil McCormick. I'm the product development manager for biologicals. So I browse through the market and try to identify the products and solutions that we can bring to FBN members that are going to help them, both from a sustainability perspective and a ROI perspective. So, it's got to be good technology. Sustainability is important, but we want to make sure that you guys can make money, and they're profitable, quality products that we're bringing to you as well. So excited to talk to you guys more about it today.
Yep. And Neil, how long have you been with FBN?
I've been at FBN since 2015, so about I guess a little over 5 years now.
Yeah. So Neil's had to put up with me for a long time. So.
Oh.
All right, let's jump in. So a quick overview of Gradable Carbon. I think there's been a couple other videos of this series that have explained it better. So definitely check those out if you want to dive into the details. But quick overview. FBN, Gradable Carbon is Gradable and FBN's kind of jump and launch into the carbon offset space. This has been a market that we had not been involved in up until this point for a handful of reasons. But with a new administration in the White House and a lot of talk about a USDA carbon bank and some serious emphasis from this new administration to help get this program off the ground, we thought it was important that we jump in and create a program that we feel is truly farmers first and puts you, the farmer, in the driver's seat to control the destiny of this new space. So a couple things that make Gradable Carbon a little bit unique is the number one thing is we don't lock you into a set price on your carbon credits. If you are like us, you think that this is a growing business, and usually in growing businesses, that means there's some upside potential down the road. And we want farmers to be able to hold on to that upside potential. So with Gradable Carbon, you are not locked into a carbon price. You can retain those credits and sell them when you think the market is right. So that is the one way that we are different. The second way that we are different is we're trying to be the most flexible program that we can for farmers. So this space, we are using other guidelines, right? We're using third-party guidelines to make sure that the science is sound in our carbon credits and all of our accounting. So it's not, there are still some restrictions, but we're trying to make it as flexible as possible, which means that, if you need to make a change on your farm, you can make that change and you can weigh the pros and cons and the costs of making changes and determining the amount of credits that you end up earning. So this is a complex business. We want to jump into it and help out, and that's where Gradable Plan comes in. So we have Gradable Carbon, where you earn credits, and then we have Gradable Plan, which is a service that we are partnering with some of the best agronomists in the world to partner with you on your farm to make sure that you have a smooth transition as you're changing farm practices. In almost all scenarios, in order to earn carbon credits, you have to change farm practice, be it switching to no-till or implementing or adding a cover crop or a biological. And we know that there can be some hiccups along the way there. So that's why we want to bring experts to you to help you with that transition. So Gradable Plan includes soil sampling and agronomy support to help you make sure that you hit all your goals as you're changing farm practices on your farm. So that's a little bit about Gradable Plan and Gradable Carbon. We're excited to talk a little bit more about those. But because we have Neil on today, we really want to focus on biologicals and how biologicals can be implemented into these programs to help make sure that you maximize the ROI as you do these adoptions. So I'm going to just kind of pepper Neil with some questions here. And these are the questions that I thought were best. If there's other questions you guys have, I'm sure you could throw them into comments or chats and we'll get back to you. But the first question I had for you, Neil, was, all right, so biologicals, these are kind of this new, not new, they've been around for a while, but lately it seems like they've been gaining a lot of steam, right? They're a rapidly growing business. They have this perception, right? I always call it a snake oil perception. I don't know that that's fair, but let's say something along those lines, right? There's some farmers don't know if these will actually work like the way that the companies claim that they will. So you're a farmer, you dove into this business. What's your perception of this space? How do you combat that kind of snake oil perception that the biological business has?
Yeah, so I think the snake oil perception, I think the biggest reason it gets a lot of that, it's take is when you look at our traditional inputs like nitrogen, phos, NPK, those typical inputs where we've known the science for a long time. We know exactly how many units of nitrogen is going to lead to how many bushels. You look at chemical is really easy to measure. You spray it on. If it kills the problem you're trying to solve, if it kills what you're trying to kill, then you know it works for sure. Biologicals, especially when they came on the scene, they've been around for 20, 30 years. Like you said, they're not brand new products. They've been around for quite some time, but the science is starting to catch up to where we can start to measure a lot of the effects in the soil, like the CEC, pH, organic matter, a lot of the stuff that we traditionally didn't, those have been around, but we're starting to get more and more in tune with how those affect our nitrogen availability, nutrient availability, and how to control those. It's really just a learning curve. You look at the history of any input or fertilizers or chemicals even, if you trace it back, and I'm sure there's farmers out there that remember when they started using any new input, they're going to get that snake oil perception when they first start in any scenario. So I think it's just if you dive into the science on the products and what they are, what they do, how they work, there's actually a lot of research out there to validate how they work, how they operate in the plant, the mode of action. So if you dive into the materials that are out there, the labels, if you look at all the labels on biologicals, you think they're a bunch of just fertilizers, which part of that perception is that's the mechanism by which we can register these products, which creates a lot of confusion when you're trying to navigate labels and compare products. It's really hard to do right now, just because the regulatory framework hasn't caught up to really reflect what's in the product and what it does. So as that begins to improve and as we get more focus on it, then that's going to create a lot more clarity on the label to hopefully resolve some of those misconceptions. But the main materials are amino acids, humic acids, seaweeds, and those are the three that represents about 70% of what's sold in the market. But there's tons, piles of research. I can go on Google Scholar and dig up 500 papers on what they do and how they work. So I think it really comes down to what's the rate that's going to get you the economic benefit is what we don't know. Which that they're going to be inconsistent performers in a lot of scenarios, just because what different products are going to react differently to different biology and different soils. So it's just a matter of the more data and the more we understand about these, the more we're going to be able to diagnose problems and then prescribe the right biological solution at the right rate. So really, it's just a matter of the data science, which FBN's pretty well positioned to utilize and do well. Is once the data science catches up and we can start to prescribe those more exact rates, we can get try to get more predictable results, and hopefully the products get better and better, and then you're try to get more predictable results to where we can dial in those rates a lot better. So
yeah, that I'm a big fan of. I've been excited about how we at FBN have kind of dove into this space, specifically around applying data science to a lot of it, right? So I think that's another way to summarize what you said, right? One way you combat this perception in this space is you just dive into the data, right? And you figure out which ones work the best. So can you maybe give a quick highlight of what we're doing with our on-farm research trials, and how those are going to apply data science to try to figure out which of these products work best?
Yep. Yeah. So we do. We have two things. We have one. We'll have programs on any new product that we launch. We started with products that we were confident in the science and the data, and they've been commercially viable for quite some time. Then for so any of those new products, we want to start to gather data to really dive into, for the products that are bought and used, just to get more insight into how those work. Then the second one is doing our on-farm R&D, which is prior to commercialization, we want to find the best new innovations, unique products, unique materials, and then try to test those on member fields prior to launching them. So that way, we have at least a decent level of insight into, how well do they perform, where do they perform, and what, in what environments. So that'll hopefully, resolve some of the snake oil perceptions. The more data you can see, the more that'll hopefully get resolved and start to drive more confidence in the efficacy on these products.
That's right. That's right. So the products that we've been able to analyze and look at the data, we feel comfortable with them because they have years of data to back up their claims. We're comfortable taking those to market. Those are the products that we'll be launching here soon. And then products that are, kind of in the earlier stages, that's where the R&D trials come in. And we're trying to be an independent source there, right, to validate some of the claims that they make. So next question I have, I know there's different types of biologicals. You've mentioned a handful of them there, humic acid, seaweeds. How do you categorize them? Do you categorize them by that, or do you categorize them more by what they do, or how is FBN categorizing all these different biologicals that are out there?
Yeah, so you can look at materials. So you can look at the, seaweeds, organic acids, which are humic acids, amino acids or peptide materials. And then, then there's the plant extracts, which is just, any other material or plant that you want to try to get extract some biological component out of. And then you have your live microbes, which are very, the inoculants, biofertilizers, any live microbe would be, it's a bigger, broader category. So there's lots of different species, lots of different effects. So that's from a material point of view, that's what these products are largely made out of. If you look at what's sold, that's 90% of what's out there. So you can dive, to hopefully simplify some of the, there's hundreds of products, all these companies, but if you look at it from that lens, then it starts to become a lot more clear. So if you look at, okay, what's this derived from, what's it made of, then it's really limited. There's only a handful of different options that, these are typically made out of. And then there's some unique solutions that are out there as well. Then from an agronomic standpoint, the way, we look at it, categorize it is soil prebiotics, soil probiotics, photosynthetic enhancers, and then stable carbon sources. And then your advanced micronutrients. So the first one, the prebiotics, you're really just trying to stimulate the native biology. You want to maximize and take advantage of what's already in the soil. So a lot of times you just need a food source or an energy source to stimulate or bring those back to life, and to make sure that they're solubilizing the nutrients. All the nitrogen fixers are waking up and doing their job. So you're really just trying to maximize what's already there and what's in the soil. And those can be made from lots of different materials. There's not one material that those are made out of. There's a lot of really good combinations of different products out there and unique products. And then the probiotics, those are your live microbes. So typically those have a very specific, very targeted benefit to response. They're either trying to, like your inoculants or your the most widely commercialized, where you're just trying to fix atmospheric nitrogen on your legume roots. That's the common one. Then there's new phosphorus solubilizers, zinc solubilizers. So nitrogen's the one you have to get from the atmosphere. And there's some carbon products out there, and then all the rest of them are just most of the time is going to be there's a specific nutrient that you're trying to solubilize in the soil. Potassium, zinc, iron, whatever that might be. And so you can have one organism, or else you can have. There's also consortium products, so you can have a combination of an N fixer, P solubilizer, and try to combine benefits with those types of products. And then the photosynthetic enhancer, those are really trying to provide, take the energy load off the plant, and then you're trying to stimulate the in-season energy and provide an energy source so that the plant can focus on growth, and you don't have to go find that energy in the soil. So those are typically, you're going to see the most benefit when you're under stressful conditions, when the plant, needs that energy boost, is when you're going to get the most benefit. So those I like to say are it's almost the inverse of fertilizer, where the easier the season is, the better the season is, the more bang for your buck you get out of fertilizer. So the photos are really the downside protection, where, well, I want to make sure in a arid, if it's dry or a lot of heat stress, or I'm using harsh chemicals, then I can try to keep the plant healthy so that it can combat that stress. And then the worse the conditions are, the better the biologicals, the more benefit it's going to get. And that's typically where you see a lot of your 20, 30 bushel gains, is in really, harsh, and where it's a good, easy growing season. Those are where you see the negligible or the, not much benefit from these products, because the plant has everything it needs. Yep. And then your carbon sources, those would be your stable carbon. So those are your humic acids. So that you're just trying to basically, instead of trying to sequester carbon, you're just providing a carbon source to the soil, so that you can improve a lot of the soil quality and help nutrients transport throughout the soil better. So it's really like with and I know we'll touch on that with the cover crop. I know you're wanting to dive into that a little bit. So, but that's really just supplementing with stable carbon, instead of, having to, a lot of times you want to get that carbon from plant matter. Decaying plant matter is where we usually want to get it. So those humics are really just a way to supplement that and to add that stable carbon with a product, versus waiting for nature to break down those materials. And that's going to improve all the organic matter, your nutrient transport, pH, CEC, all those types of soil characteristics we can measure. And then last one would be your advanced micros. So those are just where you're trying to use a micro nutrient, and then you add a biological chelator or component that just helps the nutrient get into the plant more efficiently. So organic acids and aminos are the two that are pretty common, where they just really help to transfer that nutrition into the plant really efficiently, which enables lower rates, less chance of phytotoxicity. It's a more natural way to get the nutrient to the plant, as opposed to like our EDTAs or our chemical chelates. And most times that you can use a lower rate to do it as well. So just more efficient delivery. So yeah, those are so if you take, hopefully that gives you, there's some complexity, but if you take all the confusion and like there's 500 products, I have no idea what they do. Like if you take any product in the market, you can fit 99% of them into one of those buckets. And then I guess the biopesticides I'll touch on for just that one's pretty simple. The biopesticide is you're just trying to find a biological active that replaces a chemical active in some way. So whatever control you just, I want to find the bug or the plant extract that controls, sudden death syndrome or ascochyta or whatever the disease is with biologically versus chemically. So those are emerging. They're improving. The consistency has always been the issue with those, but the technology, there's a ton of money going into that. So I would expect a lot of really cool products to come on the market in the next 5 to 10 years as the R&D gets to later phases.
Yeah, tons of potential for biologicals and sustainability. If as you look at carbon specifically, I think from a carbon sequestration perspective, I'd say we're still, how much biologicals can impact that is still kind of a lesson that we're learning. But can you talk about how biologicals and cover crops can complement each other to maybe sequester more carbon, right? I think that's probably the spot that it best fits in. On the sequestration side, we'll talk about the abatement side and how you can reduce nitrogen use, but let's specifically focus on sequestration and locking more carbon into the soil. How can you use cover crops and biologicals to lock more carbon into the soil?
Yeah, so the like one with the carbon, like those stable carbon sources. Really, like with the cover crop, the way you get the stable carbon is through the plant matter most times. So you're trying to get the plant matter decayed. That's going to add the humic, the humus and that. So you're really just humic acids and organic acids are most times, materials that are thousands of years old that just really old decayed plant matter that we can get into a liquid form. So just as a way to, instead of relying on that decayed plant matter, you can just apply the stable carbon directly to the soil through a humate or an organic acid. So that's probably the most easy way. The second one is with the prebiotic, a combined prebiotic as well as a photosynthetic enhancer. Using those two products in tandem with one another is also a way to improve the stable or the carbon profile in the soil. By waking up the microbial activity, that'll also just help to generate more organic matter, wake up the soil, and then just really help to break down what's already in there and try to build up your humus. And then when you combine it with a photosynthetic enhancer, that'll help to maximize the output from the root exudates. So that'll help capture the CO2 out of the atmosphere as effectively as possible to transfer that into the soil, so you can build trap carbon and build organic matter that way. So if you're using those two products in tandem, the prebiotic and the photo, then you're really getting a good stoking that carbon breakdown and organic matter creation process, and trying to maximize it as much as possible. So that's so those are really the three products that are gonna. Then the third one would be, which there is, the third one would be the probiotics. So the live microbes. There's a few products out there that have specific microbes that are trying to sequester carbon. I like the prebiotic, the carbon, the not live products a little better for that purpose. But there are a few products out there that are showing some promise that might be a viable solution as well. But those are the primary products and the function and how they help to build up that stable carbon in the sequester carbon in the soil. And then as you build it up, then it helps you, as you improve that carbon profile by using the products, then it's going to help, the soil is going to sequester more as the organic matter builds up too. So
that's right. Yeah, if you can grow better crops on top, that's another great way to sequester carbon, right? Better life cycles for your cover crops to get more vigor. That's going to be another great way. So all those products can help with that. Let's talk a little bit. So that's sequestration. The Gradable carbon program also is focused on abatement, which is just producing the same amount of crop but using less nitrogen. And there's another way that you can earn carbon credits through Gradable carbon. So let's talk a little bit about, can you explain some of the products and how they can reduce the nitrogen use on a farm? I know there's some exciting products that we have been looking at and launching here to help hopefully get the same amount of yield with less nitrogen. Can you speak to those a little bit?
Yep. Yeah. So I guess the prebiotics, the carbon sources, the photosynthetic enhancers, those, those dead, more not the live materials, but I guess you call them dead because they are, but it's kind of a good way to look at it, dead versus live. But those are, by using those and improving the soil quality and, the ability to get nutrients in the right form and to stimulate the biology that's going to get the nutrients in the right form and deliver them to the plant. That's one way. That's just more utilizing what's already in the soil. And then if you do have, most soils do have a lot of nitrogen fixers natively. So the more you can stimulate those and make sure they're alive and, waking up is going to help you just maximize what's the efficacy of the organisms that are in the soil. So just creating better soil quality is one of the bigger things that can help you lower your nitrogen use. Now and then there's the biofertilizers or the probiotics, which are the live microbes, which those have been getting a lot of press as well. And those are really great products there's a lot that are starting to come on the market, which are your nitrogen fixers that are for cereals. So we've had them for legumes for, however long. We're starting to get products that are, can fix atmospheric nitrogen for corn, wheat, sugar beets, like all these rice, different crops. So those are exciting. And we're looking at we'll have a corn N fixer on the market this year, as well as a wheat N fixer that's newer type products. And those, the consistency has always been and continues to be the big Achilles heel with those products, just to be completely transparent, which I think everybody kind of knows, but just knowing how an organism is going to react in any given soil is a tough thing to do. So, but on the high end, you can replace up to 30-40% of nitrogen needs. On the low end, 10-15. I think most soils can benefit from these types of products, but the big issue is when you reduce your fertilizer, there's some risk, and it's really knowing how much any of these given products is going to affect your required fertilizer is a really tough thing to predict accurately right now. So I think that's where the data long term with FBN is going to be transformative. Is the potential exists to throw these products down and have a system and use them, and you could get your nitrogen down to 10%, but figuring out how much you can reduce at a full farm level to get there, and not because you could lower it 50% and then it could backfire on you. Maybe your soil has different qualities than you think it does, or just doesn't respond how you thought it might. So that's where I think really all these products have the potential. It's just getting to a really good predictive recommendation type of a system is where we need to get to really give that prescriptive advice. But I think, biologicals and the products we have, we can, confidently use these and, lower your nitrogen 10-15%. And then actually your PK, there's typically tons of phosphorus already in the soil. A lot of that gets underutilized. So a lot of these products you can use and lower your phosphorus up to like 30-40% on year one. So like my recommendation is just to do it in small doses. What you guys and what the Gradable plan is great is that'll help guide farmers through that process and, baby step it. So I think the offering you guys are putting together, Brant, is going to be really useful to help guide farmers through that. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's where, just to tie this all together, that's where we come full circle back with Gradable plan, right? There's a lot of products on the market. They all do different unique things. And it's important, at least we feel, that farmers have an option to have a little bit of expert guidance as they're implementing these new products. So under the Gradable plan program, the focus is on maximum ROI for your farm, right? So maybe it's strictly going after maximum carbon credit generation. Or maybe it's I'm going after maximum yield. Maybe that's how you get ROI. We think that the answer is probably somewhere in the middle, right? I want to try to get as much yield as I can out of my products while still getting as many credits as I can and putting the most dollars back in your pocket as a farmer. So that's what we're going to be focused on. This bull market run that we've been running on for corn and soybeans is constantly changing the recommendations that Gradable plan is going to be given as we're trying to help you maximize that ROI. But just know that we're taking our program is going to take a long-term approach. So, year one, you might just see recommendations for strip trials with some of these nitrogen fixations, right? Because with $5 corn, you probably don't want to do a huge reduction in your nitrogen. But, so maybe we'll do some strip trials and we'll see how things respond. And then you make those changes going into next year. So that's the systems-wide approach that Gradable plan is looking at, and we're definitely going to be tied in closely with FBN biological businesses as we do this. So appreciate everybody for sticking with us this long, and if you have any questions, definitely reach out to our Gradable team or our FBN team. We'd be happy to get you set up with Gradable plan or with any of our biologicals. So thank you.